Stay there. No. Over here. You gotta pay attention to me. Because you and I are gonna visit some very special places together. Stephen King wrote the book, The Shining. It had a couple of adaptations, the most popular being the one with Jack Nicholson. Now, he wanted to follow it up with a sequel, and he did so. One where we would find out what happened to a grown Dan Torrance. The title being Dr. Sleep, which was also made into a film adaptation. And I gotta be honest, man, Dr. Sleep is one of my favorite movies. And I'm gonna say it out loud publicly right here. I love Dr. Sleep more than The Shining. I know, don't come at me in the comments, but I do. I seriously love this movie. When Mike Flanagan took on the role to do Dr. Sleep, he actually wanted to make it a sequel to the novel and the movie. And Stephen King was like cool with whatever changes he made, you know, because he had done Gerald's Game, and he was like, yeah, it's cool, whatever. And so that's where you had it. They were a sequel to both book and film. And I gotta say, he started it off with a bang right from the get-go with the death of Violet. For our opening scene, we're here in Stone Mountain Park, Georgia. Now, it would have been right out there where Phil's standing, where you would have gotten your first shot of the villain of the movie, Rose the Hat. And I'm going to go on record also. I've already told you that Dr. Sleep, you know, I like it better than The Shining. But I will say also, Rose the Hat is probably my favorite villain of all time. She's just, I mean, aside from being, you know, just like this pretty villain, she's just too cool. Like, she is like the coolest villain also. Like her style and everything.
I like her hat. I want me a hat like that.
So it's here, right here where Violet would have walked up. She would have seen Rose the Hat sitting on a stump and came up to her. And of course, Rose the Hat would have, you know, lured her in with her charm.
And her magic.
And all she's trying to do is test Violet to see, does she truly have steam? Mm-hmm. Because Rose the Hat is the leader of a vampiric group called the True Knots. And what they do is they hunt out children that possess
the
shine, and they feed on the steam. As Rose the Hat is having this conversation with Violet, Violet hears a sound in the background, like a twig snapping or something. She turns quickly and looks over to the side, and here, exactly where I'm standing, would have been your first shot of Crow Daddy. And of course, Rose is like, no, you know, you gotta pay attention to the trick. And so Violet turns and looks back at Rose.
In the clip, we know it's this shot because we can see this tree here and this one. Our three-pronged tree from earlier is still here. We have a tree here and then Crow Daddy standing right out there. So Rose the Hat and Violet would be actually to my left right now. Even though the camera work looks like she just turns her head to look at him, really the camera would have to move out away from her. because that's where they would still be over there in order to get this shot. Like that. Just after Violet guesses the color of the flower that Rose the Hat is holding, she hears a limb break or a twig break. And when she turns and looks, there's now more people standing here. Still have Crow Daddy standing here in this exact same shot as before, but now there's a woman in a blue jean skirt standing here. Right at the edge of the screen here would be a man in sunglasses. Looks like he might be bald-headed. And then just to the side of our three-trunk tree, right here, is the old man.
That shot, like, of all of the True Knot just standing there staring is, like, pretty terrifying because they're not even doing anything. But they're just, like, standing there all still watching her. Like, if I was that kid, I would have been running and screaming. I'd have been like, screw your magic trick. I'm going to throw your flower and your hat in the water and I'm gone.
Yep. She does have that look on her face like, wait a second, it was just the two of us.
Yeah,
now
it's like
there's
she
one
knows
person.
it's something sketchy.
Yeah.
Like, run, like, holler or something.
Yeah, she don't though. She just stands there. Like, come on, kid, what's wrong with you?
After The Shining, Danny and his mom escaped to Florida. But the ghost, they're still after Danny. And unfortunately, he's just terrified. He doesn't know what to do. He's just scared in life. Well, in fact, in the shot where they're supposed to be in Florida, they're not. They're in St. Mary's, Georgia, on the coast. And in this particular scene, Danny is going to have a meeting with a very familiar character from The Shining, Dick. So you see Phil out there. Right over there is where the bench would have actually sat. Now, there is no bench there, but in the shot, you can actually see that little red pole right there, and you see that bench that's sitting there. You can actually see that in their shot. Now, when Danny's mom runs across and she kneels down, it would have been right in this area right here where she would have hugged Danny. But right over here,
Hey.
pretty much where it would have sat, where he would have gotten that important piece of information, like, hey, memorize this box, you know, put it in your mind, and when those old spirits come from the Overlook, you lock them inside that box. And that's what he does. He locks a ton inside his mind. This is the view Danny would have had from where he was sitting. And you can see, like, these poles in the shot. Which, you know, it's a boat dock.
Very nice out here. When Mrs. Torrance is running over yelling for Danny, she sees him on the bench behind me. You can actually see this shot right here. You can see where it says St. Mary's Submarine Museum. We see all of this building, this one with the ramp. This pole is even there. So is this light pole. Now, this bench is not there, but you got to imagine a hot dog vendor standing right about here, and right here would be like a billboard looking thing, and she's running right between it and the hot dog vendor, so right just to the side of this bench coming towards Danny. And about where Renee is standing now is where she would actually kneel down to give Danny a hug.
Even though I can't sit on a bench over there in the exact location, I guess I'll have to settle for this bench and just think about how cool the shot was, you know, with Danny and Dick sitting here. I mean, I love Dick. Get your mind out of the gutter. He's like that, you know, on White Chicks.
What a beautiful chocolate man. Beautiful.
That describes Dick too. For this next shot, we're in, I'd say, close to downtown Atlanta,
Yeah, somewhere in that vicinity.
in a shopping complex. But in the middle of this shopping complex is an old Plaza movie theater. It's still running movies,
Showing silent films right now.
but you'll probably know it in the film as a place where Snakebite Andy is watching a movie. Now, she's been scouted by the Crow, and he has Rose with him. He's like, yo, just watch.
It's gonna happen.
Rose finds out that Andy has the ability to kind of just whisper things to people, and they do what she says. Now, after she does her bidding in the theater, she comes out, and the Crow follows. When Andy exits the building with the Crow following her, they actually come out this door right here because it's folded back this way. Now, Andy is like, yo, mission accomplished. I'm out of here. The Crow's trying to talk to her, and she's like, you want to leave me alone? And he does. But then she turns around. She can't do the same with Rose because Rose catches that arm. And she gives the, you know, the famous, well, hi there. And then she's like, you want to let me go? And she's like, no, I don't.
That doesn't work on me. The Snakebite Andy would come right where Renee is walking down, and as the camera pans up, you can actually see the marquee. You can see it say theater. You just can't see it say Plaza. But this handicap sign is still in front of the same window from the movie. The white lines painted here in front of it is also still here. The only thing that's been added is these two yellow columns were neither were the bushes here. But everything else, pretty much the same from this shot right here. I don't think it says FedEx though, does it?
Yeah, it does.
Does it say
Yeah.
FedEx? Okay. I couldn't remember if it actually said FedEx or not. So yeah, everything's pretty much still the same. Like I said, you just can't see it say Plaza up here. The camera kind of stops just above where it says theater. And this is the shot of Snakebite Andy thinking she's gonna get away.
Yeah, and then she joins the clique.
Yep.
She's one of the True Knots after that. We've made it north of Atlanta. In this particular scene, Crow Daddy has been on the search trying to find steam because the True Knot group has been running low. Well, he manages to find Bradley. He's a baseball player, and he's watching him play his game. Well, once he confirms that Bradley does, in fact, possess steam, well, they kidnap Bradley, and they take him to an ethanol plant in the middle of the night. And the rest of the True Knot group meets them there. Like, they all have this convoy. They come into the plant. Well, it's a hard scene. It's a very violent scene, really. I mean, because you have a child, and, you know, it doesn't necessarily show what they're doing to him, but you can imagine. I mean, there is blood, and, I mean, the pain that this boy portrays, like, through the screen, it's a hard one to watch. We actually stopped here, got permission to come onto the property to kind of line up the shot as best as possible. Now, these that you're seeing in front of you, you would have seen like in an aerial shot. It would have
Right.
been going over
It would
this.
this bar that's like right up here, kind of sticking out towards us. The camera would have actually went kind of over that, looking down. onto the scene where you could see the campers and the RVs already in place, kind of in a, not necessarily a circle, but you know, they're around where the action's going to be happening. And you can definitely see like the barn looking structure.
And we're going to go over closer to that. Now, we can't exactly get to the exact spot probably because they are working over there. And if we're completely honest, it does really smell out here.
Yeah,
so I think it's doo-doo over there.
Yeah, it looks like what he's loading in the back of this thing that's hooked up to this tractor is a lot of hay and stuff. So, yeah, it definitely smells like poo. As being someone that used to live with cows on a farm,
yeah, but you know,
I know that's exactly what it's
suffering the smell. Like, just be glad this video isn't like a scratch and sniff. Like, yeah. This is one of those smells where you guys don't want to smell it.
Right.
But look at that tower. Like, these structures right here look seriously creepy even during the day.
Yeah.
It really is like giving me like something that would have been in like Jeepers Creepers.
Oh, that's definitely Jeepers Creepers hangout right there for sure.
All right, so we're gonna walk around here over to where they would have, you know, taken Bradley. Now this particular location is used twice during the film. You have where they murder Bradley, and then once, you know, because the whole time Abra is seeing this happen, and she's able to like write down like the location or whatever to give to Uncle Dan. So later in the film, Uncle Dan and Billy revisit this particular spot to find where Bradley, the baseball boy, you know, they have dug him a shallow grave and basically left him.
So as the camera shoots over the top of this structure and shoots down, you can definitely see this barn structure here. There's a truck and trailer parked over here and another one. Right down the side of this area here is a truck with its light shining. There's an RV parked here. There's one parked over here, kind of making a semicircle. Right here is where baseball boy would have met his end, and the gang would have got all the steam they needed from him. Now, we read online that the guy that owns this place, for him letting them film here, they wrote him a check. I think it was $2,000, not 100% sure. But anyway, it said that he still has the check, and it's supposed to be like hung up on a wall. I'm guessing here on location somewhere, if there is an office, or at his house. But he supposedly still has it hung up. Pretty cool. I think I would keep it too, or at least cash it and then see if I can get the check back to hang up, you know.
For this next scene, Abra has done experience the death of the baseball boy. She's gone to school, she's researched that his name is Bradley, and she realizes her next step should be, I need to go find Uncle Dan. We need to hash a plan out to find this boy, find the true knot, do something about it. So basically, she's gonna get her mom to drop her off at school, but she has no intentions of going to school that day. She's gonna cut, get on a bus, and find her way to Frayser to get this plan in action. So the school you're about to see was not only Abra's school in the film, but you might also recognize the school from the Fear Street movies they just did and Goosebumps 2.
And this is about as close of a shot as we can get because there's a fence all the way around the school with police signs and prosecution and all this and that. But as you can tell, to the right of your screen, the brick part of the building is where the name of the school would have been. The rest of the school looks the exact same with the exception of a different color paint job. Even the tree where the shot first comes in from the right side of the school looking left, you can see this tree in the shot that's on the right side of your screen, along with some cars parked there. The mom would actually come in to drop Abra off from the right side of your screen coming left towards us. Abra would get out of the car. The camera's actually looking left up the rest of the school driveway, but she would actually walk to the right of your screen towards the brick part of the school that would have the school name on it, and she's off to find Uncle Dan. Not Lieutenant Dan, but Uncle Dan.
And that lovely honk you just heard was our litter box alerting us that our cat in another state used the bathroom. So really, to me, it doesn't look like this is still an actual school, because we were just talking about this sign right here. It says this facility to be used only with written authorization. Trespassers will be prosecuted. So obviously that's not why we're not venturing across the gate. But I mean, there's no name whatsoever on the building to be like, hey, this is a school or anything. So I think it's just for filming purposes only now.
It's gotta be. I mean, because I mean, if you look at the top of like the awning, it's falling down. Some of the air conditioning units that are right here, the backs are busted open on them, and so must just be.
It works out good for them, you know. If you ever need a school, like you can just pop on over and use it.
I mean, this is a good idea to put this fence up like this. That way, you don't have people coming in like busting windows out, going in and vandalizing it. Because I mean, they even got the doors like chained and stuff up, but they leave the windows open for ventilation so it doesn't, you know, grow stuff inside.
Grow what kind of stuff?
Anything.
We are in Georgia. Stranger Things stuff.
Anything like that.
It's wrong school. But you know, it could happen.
It could.
For this part of the film, we've made it to Fraser, New Hampshire. Just kidding. We're still sweating down in the South. We're in Covington, Georgia. But in the film, it portrays like Dan has just arrived in Fraser, New Hampshire. Now, this particular scene you'll see at the time when Dan arrives, and then a little later on in the film whenever Abra is coming in search of Dan. But they both get off a bus right here in this spot. Now, as Dan is walking, you can actually see the cracks and differences in the sidewalk. Even this mulch area right over here. Pardon the dog doo-doo. We didn't put that there as a film prop. That was already there. But come on down. I mean, the area where I just started would have been about where he got off the bus. Now, just over here, this pole would not have been here. Instead, there would have been a bench right in this area.
Right here. With a pole for a bus stop here.
But the mailbox clearly in the shot.
And the water meters are clearly in the shot too. When he starts walking and the camera kind of pans up a little bit, you can clearly see those water meter boxes.
Now the back of the bus would have stopped probably around where that mailbox is sitting. And then he would have continued in this direction, just walking. And then as the camera pans up, you can kind of make out some buildings over here.
Yeah, right out there.
There's a bush in the way, so I'm gonna go past the bush just so y'all can see the buildings. Would have been like those two right there. The building right here, just to the left of your screen, You can make that out too as he's walking, the handrails and, you know, this end corner down here. After Abra has gotten off the bus, she starts making her way toward Tiny Town where she knows to find Uncle Dan. Now, as she's walking, just kind of blurrily in the background, you can make out that canopy that we're looking at dead in the center of your screen with the green and tan stripes. Now, she's going to continue walking this way, and I'm going to pan the camera and I'm going to show you the area about where she stops. She would have continued in this direction right here. And if you'll notice this red brick right here with these two windows and this little light up here, right there. As she stops, she's just past the light because you can see it just over her shoulder, like this right here. But you can kind of see those little ledges in the back, like down below. This is about where she would have stopped, glanced over, right over there, and she would have, you know, with her mind, said something to Uncle Dan. Where Phil is currently standing at right now, filling in as Abra, not quite as sweet and pretty as she is, but he'll work. This is as close to the shot as I can get. As you can see, the tree is pretty much the same, got the same two branches right there. In the background, you can make out that green building just over his head. That is actually the Mystic Grill, and if you're a Vampire Diaries fan, you know what that is. And just a little tidbit of information. We did eat there earlier, and the food is really good, and the drinks are very, very good. But over to the left side of your screen, you'll make out that kind of reddish orangish building right there. That is the courthouse that you can see just over her shoulder also. As Uncle Dan and Abra make their way over to some benches to get a little bit more privacy, you'll notice that they're walking in this path because just right here you can see this statue in the background as they're walking and talking. Now we're walking in the direction of the benches that they would have sat on. Here they are. This is the pair of benches they would have come and graced.
This one right here on the left.
This is it. This is where they were, talking about super secret stuff. So you sit down where Ian would have sat. Do you feel the Obi-Wan power surging through your little butt cheeks right now? You do? One thing I do want to point out is I'm not entirely sure how to say his name correctly. Is it Ewan? Is it Ian? We went to a convention in Orlando, and he was there with Hayden Christensen, signing and taking pictures for Star Wars. And I don't think the announcer guy even knew how to correctly pronounce it, because out of everybody that was there, he kept saying Hayden Christensen, come take your pictures. I heard him say Ewan one time. After that, it was pictures with Obi-Wan, and that's all I heard. So, but he still aged like fine wine, so. Unfortunately, I didn't get to meet him there because, our oldest child wanted to meet Hayden Christensen, so we did get to meet him, which was great. But still, we wanted to meet Uncle Dan.
Yeah. They sat
This is about as
here.
close to the shot as I can actually get with our camera. But as you can see, they're kind of sitting dead in the middle of the courthouse on the left side of your screen and the Mystic Grill on the right side of your screen. Because in the shot, you can actually make out the first couple of letters that say Mystic Grill. And I also want to point out that you can see one of the poles in the shot. Now, I don't think the other two poles were here at the time. They could have been, but can't see them from my shot.
If they are, you can't notice them in the shot for sure.
As they're sitting on the bench, you know, in deep thought and cahoots and all that, you can actually see in the background that coffee sign just in the middle of your screen and the sign that says bread butter just over their heads.
Dan's off the bus and crossing the road right where Renee is, between this light pole, and in the movie this tree would actually be twisted. Looks like they cut part of it off. But he's walking towards the middle of the square where Tiny Town is, and in the shot you can actually see this pole, this tree, this pole. You can actually see it say City Pharmacy here, still the same color. We can also see this building next to it is still the same color with the tree growing in front of it. Tree is a little taller now. And even a portion of this dark painted building. Now all of this is one section, just individual shops, but every one of these still look the exact same, even the same tree. Like I said, just a little taller.
This is it. This is where Tiny Town was.
Yep.
That's crazy. Like, even though like I'm old and stuff, like I still want to play with Tiny Town. Why couldn't it have been here?
I'd like to get a ride on that Tiny Town train.
Yeah. Now, I want to correct what I said. It's not Tiny Town, it's Teeny Town.
Teeny Town.
Teeny Town. But the row of houses would have been right through here, because you can actually see this bench right here in the shot. Now the train would have been set up somewhere right in this area right here. And it's here that Dan actually ends up meeting a really good friend, Billy. And Billy hooks a brother up with a job and all that, new fresh start to life. And as they're kind of conversing about why why Dan's in town, and, he sees a fresh face and all that, and he's just kind of getting a feel for Dan. And one of the shots, you can see these two buildings in the background. This brick one right here on the left side of your screen, and this white one over here that says Sherwood. And multiple times while they're having a conversation, you can clearly see the tower above them.
Yeah, I'd like to point out that these buildings that you see when Billy and Dan are talking in front of the train when he first gets into town, the canopy is still the same tan color. The building is still brick with the exact same windows in it. Even the building over here that you see to the right, you can actually see it say Sherwoods in the movie. It's still the exact same color with the same canopy and everything.
As I was saying earlier, about the Vampire Diaries, of course, that series was shot here, but Covington had a huge film list done here.
Yep.
There were parts of WandaVision filmed here, Halloween, the Rob Zombie one, Freaky, Sweet Home Alabama. There's like a whole museum dedicated to the stuff filmed here, but it does mainly focus on Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Legacies.
Legacies and parts of the originals.
Yeah, so if you were like heavy duty into that, like I said, with the Mystic Grill, definitely if you come to Covington, check out the museum to get your vampire fix on.
And if you're older, or you don't have to be older, you can be younger, and like the original Dukes of Hazzard TV show, that was also filmed here.
There was another one of them old
And-
TV shows.
Yes, my grandma used to watch it all the time in the heat of the night.
Yep.
So Covington.
My mama was a big fan of Bubba.
Yep.
Wasn't Bubba?
Yep, Bubba. Yep. So
I was
yeah.
like, wait a minute, did I mistake that with Mama's Family?
So yeah, Covington has been the home of Sparta, Mississippi for In the Heat of the Night. Yes, it was. They even have a thing in there where when the show was getting popular, I guess they did like a whole run for Bubba, like this whole thing, and it was called Hubba Bubba. It actually has it up in the museum. So if you're a fan of Bubba, Hubba Bubba.
For this next scene, Abra is testing her abilities, so to speak, and she plans on doing a little spying on Rose. And it lands her somewhere she probably didn't expect. This grocery store behind me. And Rose finds out she's there. Needless to say, things get a little destructive. Now, there are no outside shots of the grocery store, only inside. So, we got to take you in there.
First shot inside the grocery store, we see the back of Abra's head like this. Now the camera is up a little more because you can see Farm Dairy, and you can also see road number 2 in this direction. And it's here that she's like kind of got this look on her face after the camera cuts around to like what's going on. We then see her look down as she's walking, and she sees Rose's hands, boiled peanuts, and a whole bunch of other things. The camera then, we see it actually looking like Rose the Hat and not Abra, because you can see the aisle number 2 right over the top of Rose's head as she's kind of looking around, continuing to walk in this direction. The camera then cuts to the end of the aisle with Rose walking towards it, because you can actually see the end of these aisles, and way in the back, still on road number 2. Now, Rose the Hat has kind of feeling like somebody's watching her, because she's kind of stopped and she's looked over. The camera is behind her. She would have looked up that way. Now she's going to walk out, and you can actually see frozen foods in the distance. She would actually come this way, and she's going to walk over to this area here. Now, we do know that this area in the movie was glass doors like this, but it was a fake setup for them to be able to blow it out. So the camera comes like this. She's got her hands on the door. She now knows that Abra's or someone is watching, and when she puts her hand behind hers head, we see Abra, and we see Rose's hand go behind her, and that's when Abra freaks out. She's like, "Get out of my head." The glass shatters. Rose goes flying back down this aisle right here in the middle of the floor. She then gets pushed by Abra again.
About right here.
Yeah, she's about right there. She's done. She's like, "What the crap just happened to me?" Like somebody was in my head, seeing through my eyes. I now have touched the back of their head in parts unknown, and this girl just blew me across the freaking...
She like does it not once, but twice.
Yeah.
Like she hits here, and then she shoots
pushes
her further.
Yeah. And you can tell by the look on her face, she's like, "What the crap just happened to me?"
We've arrived in a residential area of Atlanta. Now, for this particular part of the film, we are here to see Abra's house, which is shown multiple times during the film. You get one shot of like when Rose is kind of doing this astro projection thing to find Abra. She's like flying, and she lands in the middle of the road, looks up at the house, goes in through a window. Later on in the film, Uncle Dan arrives to get the baseball gloves so they can locate the True Knot. And then once their plan kind of deteriorates and falls apart, they come back here because Crow Daddy has taken Abra. So this is the way both of them would have came in. Dan would have drove his car right through here. There's Abra's house in the middle of your screen. Try not to get hit by a car in the process. Always a good thing. And he would have came right over here and turned into the driveway. Now, this would have been the same path that Rose would have taken. She would have actually been walking barefoot through the streets right here, stopped and stared at the house just for a second, and then came and kind of flew up into that side bedroom window right up there. Now, Dan, when he arrived, he would have parked the car in beside these bushes right here. Abra's dad would have came out the door, met him, would have wanted to knock him out because he didn't believe Abra's story, of course. Like, she's saying, hey, I got a creepy Uncle Dan. And, his mind immediately goes to probably what everybody else's would have thought. And like I said, later, whenever their plan doesn't go as it should, you would have seen Crow Daddy actually carry Abra out through those front doors right there. The camera would have went in, and when you would have seen Abra's dad lying there on the ground.
We're here in Stone Mountain, Georgia, and this is the scene where Dan has made the Crow crash, who has kidnapped Abra, and the Crow has died, and he's here at this hotel to pick Abra up. And she would be waiting just on the other side of these stairs, and right under this awning that's still the same is where there would have been an ice maker and a Coke machine. And he would pull up right about where I'm standing and run and go give her a hug, and they get in the car and leave. At the beginning of the shot, we see Dan would pull in right here off the road and come straight in from this angle, and you can actually see the office building the office for the hotel in the shot. And he would make his way over to find Abra hiding behind the stairs.
After Dan has picked up Abra from the hotel, he knows there's only one place the two of them have got to head to be the epic battle to take on Rose the Hat. I gotta say, man, I was waiting. I was like, throughout the movie, I'm like, when are they gonna tie this, I know they got the Shining aspect and stuff like that. When are they gonna tie this to the first one? And it literally, I got the chills whenever I saw the Overlook. And I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be good.
Dan and Abra are headed to the Overlook Hotel to try to get rid of Rose the Hat. This is the same gas station they're going to stop at. Now, where this car is parked here, they would be on this side of the pumps facing that way. They would actually drive out and go in that direction. But as you can tell, we're not in Colorado. We're still in Georgia. You can actually see trees instead of mountains. But the shot is actually like this. You can still see the same Pure sign here, the same Budweiser, King of Beer sign, same two gas pumps. You can see this tank and wall and this pump, and pretty much everything that you see right now is, with the exception of the cars, is in the shot. The only thing that's changed is there used to be a red stripe going around the building right here. But still got the same lights. I mean, even the same street light that's up here over the Pure sign is still here. Funny to think they're supposed to be in Colorado, but yet they're right here in Georgia.
After they leave the gas station and they actually make the trip up to the Overlook. Now, for Dr. Sleep, they actually reused some of the footage from The Shining, that Overlook footage. And all of the inside that you see, that was all created on a set. And it said it was painstakingly, work of art to get all of the details that were from the first movie. And they did a great job on that because it looked exactly, to my knowledge, I mean, I'm not going around pinpointing every little thing, but to my knowledge, it looked pretty much the same.
But that's a wrap on Dr. Sleep.
I feel like we have driven all over the state of Georgia.
You ain't joking. We have been everywhere, middle of Georgia, south of Georgia, all over.
Not too much the northern part.
No.
But, you know, middle part took up a lot.
Too much traffic, that's what took over a lot. We hope you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoyed making it. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you hadn't already for some reason. Leave us a comment if there's anything you'd like to see on this channel. And leave us a comment, what is your favorite part of this video? What is your favorite part of Dr. Sleep in general? And which one is better in your opinion? Dr. Sleep or The Shining?
You already know my vote.
So I'd like to know. So leave your comments down there. And until next time, we'll catch you down the road at the next exit.
Keep it spooky.
Later.